Hey everyone, Dave here again, and I've got another exciting video for you. Today we're going to take the most popular generative voice AI on the market called ElevenLabs, and you get there by going ElevenLabs.io. So go there for yourself right now, check it out. We're going to circle back because you're going to need to create an account in order to follow along with this because you got to get an API key. Now it's free, so you don't have to worry about paying anything unless of course you love it so much you want to increase the amount of credits that they give you. But basically, a long story short, they give you like 10,000 characters, I think it is, a month, and from there every month they reset to another 10,000 characters. So as long as you take your text to voice and you're under 10,000 characters, you're going to be just fine. However, if you do want to go ahead and upgrade, this is not an affiliate paid link. Right now they're running a special. Looks like you can get some pretty significant discounts, but like I said, here's 10,000 characters per month for free. You can create up to 3 custom voices, which is pretty cool. And then of course you get API access, that's what I'm going to show you here today. It is a high quality output. And so the paid one, for your first month, you get 80% off. So I'm only going to charge you $1 for the next month. Now this gives you an extra 20,000 characters a month for $1 for the first month, and then $5 thereafter. So it's pretty cheap to do and play with. I don't know how much you're going to need or really need. It just really depends on how much you might want to use this. I know there's a lot of people out there creating YouTube videos that are faceless YouTube videos. I mean, and they're just cranking these things out left and right, making money hand over fist from AdSense and everything else. So, for that, you might want to do enterprise or $330 a month if you're pulling in a couple of grand from a YouTube channel a month. So this will give you 2 million characters a month. So that should be enough to at least pull something like that off. But in any event, explore all of that on your own. So one of the things that we're going to need to do here is we're going to have to provide a custom connector for this. So I'm here in my lab environment. I'm here under custom connectors. And basically, I'm going to go ahead and create a new custom connector. But to make it really easy for you guys, I've gone ahead and created a solution, 2 solutions in fact. The first solution is just the custom connector. Okay, so we're going to come over here to solutions. We're going to call import solution. We're going to go to browse, and I'm going to use, let me see if I can switch this to list. And so you want to use this ElevenLabs custom connector, and we're going to go ahead and import this, and we'll choose next. This should happen fairly quickly, so I won't have to pause the video while this thing goes and happens, but just in case it does, I will pause. I don't know how long it'll take. Okay, so it looked like it went through. I'm glad I paused. It was about another minute later. Anyway, so now we have this custom connector that's been installed. If we go into the solution here and let it load up, you only have 1 object. This is the custom connector. So let's back out of the solution now. Let's go over to custom connectors, and we should now see this new custom connector called ElevenLabs. Okay, and so here it has an icon. Looks like it's ready to go. You'll go ahead and you'll press the pencil icon, and the first thing that you're going to want to do is come over here to definitions. Now the reason that you're going to want to do that is that you're going to have to create this API key, and so I've got it in here as a policy. Let me quickly digress. I've got a whole video on this, but basically what happens is when you come over here to a custom connector and you put the key here, then the problem with this is then other people have to then go ahead and put their own key, which is fine if that's what you're after. That's the normal default behavior out of the box. But in doing so, then everybody has to have their own key, and it gets really kind of an administrative nightmare. Now there's 2 ways you could handle this. Inside of the actual custom connector itself, you could have custom headers, and then you could set the property of this. I'll go into, let's see if I can go into something here. We'll go into this text to speech. It might be a little bit easier. So here's some headers, right? So let me go ahead and edit this. So if this, instead of it being accept, it was the API key, I could have the default value set to the API key, and if I mark it internal, then it won't be available to the connector on the front side when you use it in a Canvas app or in a flow. That's one method or way of doing it. One of the ways that I like personally doing it is I like putting it in a policy. So when I put it in a policy, and by the way, this is the header value or my actual API key for ElevenLabs, which I will be killing and swapping out and changing after this video for obvious reasons. But nonetheless, you need to come over here to this API key, and I'm going to go ahead and leave my disabled API key in here so at least you can see where it is. And then what you do is you just replace this key with your key. Now, this policy is set up so that it works with the following connectors up here, and you can see that here. You can just tick the tick box. So if you've never used policies before, you can scope how this works. But basically all I'm doing with this one is I'm using the header template, or the template rather, that just sets a HTTP header. In this case, I'm setting the header for these three operations. They're called actions, and I'm going ahead and applying a policy override to each and every one of these, and I'm including the header along with it. So that way, when I manage the custom connector, I can just manage the policy. I can swap out the policy in one area. Remember I told you before, you could do it in each one of the areas, mark it private. Well, this is a more global, higher hierarchy level approach. So to me, this is the path of least resistance. For those of you very experienced in all of this, you may be asking why. Well, that's why I do it. I do it so that I only have to make the edit one time and I don't have to go into each of these and make the edit. Now, if you go ahead and you do it the way that I'm doing here, one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to need to come over here to make a new connection. So let's go ahead and create a new connection very quickly. And now that I've gone ahead and done that, it kicks me out. So down here in all my connectors, I'll have ElevenLabs. Now, because we use the shared API key, one of the things that you're going to want to do is to make sure that you add everyone in your organization so everybody else can use it. Now, if you want to lock it down with groups and maybe specific users within an area, you can do that. This is kind of more the Hail Mary where everybody can get access to it, because this is a global IT resource where everybody and anybody can use it. But anyway, you can decide how you want to do it, but I do want to just say that for the path of least resistance, just go ahead and share that with the entire org. That way nobody will have any problems trying to consume the app. Other problems will be it's a custom connector. They're going to have a Microsoft Premium license in the Power Platform. So, you know, they can't really get to it anyway unless they have a premium license. So anyway, all these types of things come into play. I've digressed, so let's go ahead now and get out of here. I'm not going to kill off the key because the key is valid currently, for at least for the purposes of this video. Now let me go jump over here real quick and show you how to sign up. So you come over here to sign up. I've already previously signed up with my Google account. You can register obviously with a username and a password. So you go ahead and hit sign up, and then you go in and do that, and then it lets you in. Now once you're in, let me go back out of here one more layer. I'll just do sign in. I'll use my Google, sign in with my Google account, and then you'll land here at the, well, maybe not this page. I don't remember what page you land at, but in any event, however or wherever you land up, because I wound up landing in a weird place, just come over here, click on your icon, or this little, I've got my photo up here, but you can have, I guess it's like this little profile icon by default. Anyway, if you go over to there and you click, I believe it's on subscription. Nope, I lied. You click on profile. Here's your API key. This is where you get the API key. You just grab it, highlight it, copy it, and then you paste it off to the races, and there you go. Okay, so that's how you get the key. Again, go into custom connectors. We'll click on ElevenLabs just to show you this one last time, just in case you forgot how to get there. Click on number 3, definitions. If you don't have this chain here and you got a drop down, pick the drop down, pick definition, scroll down to where it says policies, click on this XI API key, and right here for header value, that's where you're going to pop in your key. All right, I've digressed, and there we go. Now, you're going to need to have this connector installed first. The reason for that is because we're going to use a connection reference on the next item, and we're going to need to point it to an existing connection that I have going on. All right, now some other things that you're going to need to prep for this as well is you're going to have to find a SharePoint library that you use here. So let's just do, I'm going to pick, I have one Power Platform lab here that is for this. Let's go over to content. I'm going to find my default document library. And this could be any SharePoint site, any SharePoint document library. I'm picking this. Hopefully you know enough about SharePoint and the SharePoint libraries to go ahead and do this. If not, just watch what I'm doing. Just up until this point, you're going to have to find a SharePoint site, a SharePoint library. And the reason for that is we're going to temporarily store the files inside of a SharePoint folder. And so I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this Audio AI. And we're going to go ahead and let's make this a green folder, or a green, yep, so green folder. So now I've got that set, so that's all good, and it's under my decision forward, Power Platforms Labs, blah, 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 blah. It's under my documents. All right, so now that I have that prerequisite step done, I've got the custom connector installed. Now I want to go ahead and install the second solution that I have available for you, and this is the ElevenLabs 1.0. So we're going to click that, and we're going to install this, and we're going to plug under here. Okay, that just leave that the way it is. Click next. Okay, this is the prerequisite steps that I showed you guys, right? So here is the ElevenLabs. Let's see what this one's going to. SharePoint ElevenLabs. me.davidsoden.com. I think that's the right SharePoint connection. Yep, that looks good. If you don't have these, then what will happen is it'll ask you to create it. I've already got the ElevenLabs one here. You should also have that one identical. However, you might not have this one, and if you don't have something, a SharePoint one already, just go ahead and create one ahead of time, or when you import it, it'll give you the opportunity to create one inside of this wizard. So just wanted to call that out here. You may have to, go and create one, and then when you create it, you'll come back here, and then you just use the pull down, choose the one that you've created, and that'll select it here. Then we should all be at the same page. Anyway, click import. I'm going to again pause the video because this could take just a few minutes. Okay, so everything installed, and it's giving me a warning. This is normal, and the reason for this is because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on inside of the flow that we're going to go ahead and fix right now. But if you see this, don't be alarmed. Just go ahead and close out. And we'll close this down. Now, you don't want to go into the ElevenLabs custom connector. You just want to go into ElevenLabs. All right, now, that being said, we're going into the solution, and we got a bunch of stuff in here. And what we want to do is come over here to Cloud Flows, and this is the one that we want to go ahead and select and then edit. And it should take us into Power Automate. And now that we're inside of Power Automate, I may or may not have, actually I am seeing the old experience, so that's fine. This is where the warning and the error was happening. You see where you got these orange triangles? So it's all about the connection, right? And it's not happy. It doesn't like what we've done here. So one of the things you can do is you can click on, well, normally you can click on, there we go, I guess I got to have it collapsed. I guess, let's see here, new connection reference, invalid connection. Can I click here? Okay, hopefully it, yeah, okay. So that fixed that. So essentially, we'll do this again here. What I did is I went ahead and I just clicked on this top portion over here where it said invalid connection. And then I'm going to click this again. I didn't touch anything. It just kind of did its own thing or whatever last time and fixed itself. It just very quickly did all that. Let's see what it's talking about here. Gateways, connect via on-premises gateway. No. Sign in. Let's sign in. Oh, no, 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 no. Wrong account. No, no, no. No, 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 no. I don't want that one. Well, I've done really messed up, and you're not going to have this problem. Let me pause and fix this real quick. Actually, on second thought, I had paused the video. I unpaused it. You know what? Let's watch the paint dry, or let you guys watch the paint dry. Sometimes it's good to see how these things unfold and how to fix this kind of stuff. All right, so I'm going to go back into this text-to-speech item here. I screwed up with this connection thing. What I'm hoping I can do is edit my connection references. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do it here. So I'm going to go back out to the solution. I'm going to come here to my connection references, and I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to remove them from the environment, get them out of there completely, because they're referencing a connection that doesn't exist. It's actually the connection reference that was established inside of my development environment, and so the pointers are kind of all wonky here. It's already complaining about a dependency, and this is the wonderful pieces that we get to when we're dealing with the Power Platform. Let's see here, it's complaining about the flow, and now I'm like in this circular reference where I can't really get rid of anything. Shoot. Let me just delete this one at a time then. Delete from the environment. Is this the one that was, yeah, that's the one that was causing the problem. Remove, delete from environment. I think this one will go out. Nope, it's still not going to go out. All right, it's definitely in the flow, so somehow I've got to figure out a way of killing it inside of the flow. So in order to do this, permission, nope. Usually there's an edit button up here. This is the thing that I'm not really sure. So let's see if we can edit the flow and deal with it inside of the flow. Otherwise, I don't want to have to delete the entire solution, which I really don't want to do because it's an unmanaged solution, and that means brain surgery to get it out. That's the benefit of managed solutions versus unmanaged. When you have unmanaged, you got to do every single one of these manually. Okay, so this one is using all of these internal connection references. I want a new connection reference. So I want to sign in. Using my David Soden account so that it is in my lab. And then I want to choose this one right here. Okay, so now I have these. So this is the wrong SharePoint library. I'm going to change it over to my Power Platform lab. And the folder path should be very similar. So let's do shared documents, AI audio, that's correct, or audio AI. Let's see, so all of this should be good and the same. And then I want to delete this SharePoint library and point it to my SharePoint library here. Obviously the library name is not the same, so we'll delete that one. And we'll choose the documents library. And that ID is coming from here. All right, so all of this is the same. So make sure you follow all of those steps. This part you are going to have to do, just to let you know. So the first hurdle is, and I really wished that Microsoft made some of this stuff a little bit easier. These are some of the really challenging, esoteric parts. Even though it's a short, should have been a short, simple video, it's these little nuances about moving things from environment A to environment B, or even to another tenant, which is what I'm moving around here. And so I'm moving it out of where I went ahead and did a test lab this morning, and moving it over into my personal lab just to see if I can get this thing to work for the purposes of this video, because you guys are going to go and wind up installing it and doing pretty much the same thing as well. All right, so that being said, all of this looks good. Make sure you have your connections set up, you change them out, and then as you saw, to deal with the connections, you come over here. If you need to create a new connection reference, you just do it here. And at this point, I should be able to come back out to the main part of my flow and come down here to the connection references. And this is, let's see, 7 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago. All right, so these are the older flows. These should now be able to be removed from the environment, I'm hoping. And there's still, what are the dependencies? This is driving me nuts. So text to speech. Object is a process. Name is text to speech. That's the flow. The flow is called. So somehow the flow is still locking on to my connection references. And in order to get this out, I may have to go out and come back. Yeah, unfortunately, this is so make.powerapps.com. Let me get out of here. So make.powerapps, make.power.com. Probably going to be signed into my other side. I'm going to need to log out. Yep, this is why I left it in. So if I didn't put this in here, you know, if you guys have problems, you're never going to know how to fix this stuff. So you can actually now learn from the pain that I'm having. I want to sign out of this account, and I want to sign into my correct personal lab here. Come on. So make.powerautomate, sign into the correct account. Okay, what is going on here? I don't know what all this is about. We'll just leave this alone. And let's go over to the lab, which is where we need to be. Okay, my flows, text to speech. Okay, it's disabled, so that's another thing that we have to do. But before I deal with this, let's go ahead and turn this person on, there it is, turn on. So now that should ungray it out. Okay, it's ungrayed. Now I should be able to edit it. Hopefully I can now go in here and edit and get rid of the, by the way, when you go into this make.powerapps.com, you'll get this new experience. And I am not sure, I've not used this new experience enough to know where to go in. So I'm actually editing the flow. I don't really want to edit the flow, but I do want to edit these connection references and get rid of them. So this is a solution. This is the correct one. This is the correct one. So yeah, all of this is solution name, ElevenLabs, manage no. Is it going to take me into the solution? Yeah, it is. Cool. All right, but I still am not going to get rid of these connection references, these old connection references. So the only one I really want, all right, so this is the, I'm having a hard time determining which connection reference is which. I don't know if these got updated. So, all right, so that's going to the ElevenLabs. This is, I don't want this one. This one's bad. I don't need this one. This one should, I need to get rid of this one. Remove, delete from the environment. Okay, that's working. And let's edit this. This is the correct one. Okay, so this is a good one, and that's a good one. So that was the bad connection reference. Wow. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, I should have this finally cleared up so that this is working. Now I've got the flow. Let's go back to the flow. My flows, let's edit the flow. I just want to double check through the flow, make sure we've got everything going on. And of course, on top of all of that, we've got different UI UXs. So that is the correct, I'm looking up here, guys, at the site address. All right, I'm looking here. This is the correct site address. Okay, so that's good there. This is documents. This is pointing to the correct side. All right. So now I'm going to not worry about the flow, but I do want to go to SharePoint. And if a snake, it'd probably bite me, right? There it is, SharePoint. Okay, so Power Platform Lab. I want to go into Docs. And here's the audio AI. All right, I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. And well, we'll get rid of that. Anyway, and let's go back into here. All right, let's go back out. Get out of here. We don't need to be here anymore. In Power Automate, make.power automate. Power Apps. That should take me over to the main make.powerapps.com. I'm still in the correct environment. Make sure you check that too. Just one more thing to get your bonkers. All right, let's go and edit the app. Let's go make sure that we can do what we need to do. Plus, I want to be able to show you what's going on inside of this thing. So another reason to do this is so that you can confirm the connections. That way, when you try to run it, you won't have any problems. Okay, so now we're inside of ElevenLabs. So a couple of different things to make sure that is working. Not connected. So this is an issue. Let's refresh. Failed to refresh the flow. All right, so we need to connect this other flow here. So I'm going to get rid of this, remove it from the app. I want to add the flow. And now I have this text-to-speech. So we're going to go ahead and add it in. So that's the other reason for editing or adding this. All this stuff has to get rewired up again. And it's just really a pain in the neck. This is why you can't use ALM in certain one of these use cases, because it just doesn't work too good. The other thing too, to be fair, when I created this, I did not create it in a solution. I think that's part of where I'm having a lot of problems. And unfortunately, I told you guys never do what I just did anyway. But at the time, I didn't have any intention of doing what I'm doing now as far as moving it around, which is also against the best practice, which you should always start a project from the onset thinking inevitably that eventually you're going to need to put it in a solution. So why not just start in a solution? So I need to take my own advice for sure on that. So in any event, now you're seeing some of this is insult to injury because I didn't follow that best practice. All right, so that being said, I now have this wired back in. This is looking like it's all going to run well. Let's test it. I'm going to pick a voice. We'll pick Bella. We'll just, hello, my name is Mr. Ed. We'll click Get Audio. With any luck, we won't get any errors. And I do see that there is a URL link for this, and I should be able to click play and hear the voice.
Hello, my name is Mr. Ed.
Okay, so Bella, not bad. So this is now working, and if we scroll over to here, we now have the GUID, and we can see that this is all working. All right, so now that we've got a good clean install, let's walk you through what I've done here to make this work the way that I did. All right, so let's zoom this thing out a little bit, and let's go at the high level. So a couple things that we've got going on here. We have, as far as connectors, we have the custom connector to ElevenLabs, okay? And that custom connector had 3 actions or 3 areas. I'm using 2 of the 3 here inside of Power Automate. The first one is driving this drop down. So what I'm doing is I'm getting all of the voices that are available under my account, and it's providing a list. I'm sorting them in ascending order so that now when I'm holding my Alt key down, you get to see. I put this in a combo box so that we can search. The other thing is when you use a combo box, actually somehow it flipped off. So if you want to search, toggle that on. I've noticed this is definitely a bug or a problem. In any event, make sure allow multiple selections is off. That's going to cause a problem, but this is why I use the combo box. And disable to allow multiple selections, only so that I can get to the underlying search feature. If you just use a drop-down menu, you can't search for a name. And there's quite a bit of names in here. So searching is somewhat of a good thing, but it's also in alphabetical order, so maybe you don't need it. If you wanted to reproduce this in your app and just use a regular drop-down control, you can do that. But this is typically why, personally, I choose a combo box and then disable the multiple selection just to get to the searching feature on that. Anyway, so with that being said, I now have this voice that's chosen. And this object is called Combo Box 1. I didn't follow my own best practices here either. I did not rename these because this isn't really an app. This is just a demo illustration app for you to learn from and for you to use to see the code. So the other thing too is this is just a regular straight up text input box. Nothing special. You can interact with it. You should put your own text in it. And life is good. Now, this is where some of the magic starts to happen and some of the complication as well. So the first thing that we're needing to do with this is we're setting a variable called vFileSharePoint, and then I'm running this text-to-speech Power Automate flow, and I'm running it, and it takes in 2 parameters. So let's jump back out to make powerautomate.com so we can see what is actually going on inside of the flow. That way we can cross-reference back and forth between the two so that you can actually see what's going on under the hood. All right, so we are using the V2 connector for Power Automate. What is this, AI? Yeah, whatever. We've got our own AI in this case. So I am using the V2 connector and I'm using 2 text properties. So when you click and add a text input, this icon, AA, this is of text. Then you got yes, no, Boolean, you got a file, you got email, number, date, blah, blah, blah. You've seen this before, hopefully. Otherwise, I'm just using 2 of these. I'm taking in 2 parameters. I need the voice ID, and that voice ID is coming from this drop-down that I've chosen, okay? So one of the properties in here, this whole thing is a table. And so one of the things that I'm having to do with this is I'm needing to pull back the first, and there's only going to be 1, even though there's a table of 1. I have to do the first because the combo box 1.selected items, this returns, as you can see right down here, the data type is a table. So I have to wrap it in a first function, and then all I'm doing is pulling the voice ID back. And you can see this is the voice ID for the chosen voice that I've chosen, and I'm passing that along as a parameter. The other thing I'm doing is I'm passing in the text from this text box where it says, hello, my name is Mr. Ed, which will be replaced by whatever text that you type or paste into the box. Then it goes out to Power Automate, and it says, okay, great, I'm going to go ahead and use this, and I'm going to run this flow. So now this is connecting to my custom connector that I've created and provided for you that you've installed on the onset of this video. And with that, you're putting in the voice, you're referencing the voice ID here. The output chosen, this is a drop down. I've already made these pull down menus so that you can go ahead and use them very easily. These values are provided for you by default so that you had some starting point or semblance. If you have any further questions, you should refer back to the ElevenLabs AI API rather. So we'll do ElevenLabs. We'll go back to here. Under resources, you can go to API reference, and then under the API reference, here is the text to speech. So if you want to see all of the information about the parameters, the ones again I'm using is the text to speech. I'm using the get voices to power off the drop down, so you can update the custom connector, add additional actions if you so choose. But I'm using the get voices. I told you I'm using the text to speech, and then finally under user, I'm doing get user subscription info, which we'll show you in just a few moments where I'm using that. Okay, so anyway, the point is I'm running this against ElevenLabs, and then when I'm using this is SharePoint, I'm creating a file. I am concatenating a GUID function along with the file extension of MP3, and I'm feeding out the contents of what I get back from the API as the body to the file contents. And so now it's storing that file in SharePoint. Now I have to circle back and unfortunately go get the properties of the file I just created. And in doing so, I'm able to provide the HTTP link. So you may have seen when this is run, I got this down here at the bottom. And so this is the URL that I'm feeding into the file media, okay? So this is the SharePoint file lock. You see this long thing? This is the same thing here. If you look at that and you look at what I'm providing up here, all it is a HTTP, and it's playing it from inside of the SharePoint file. It's actually streaming it using the SharePoint item. So this is how I'm able to handle all of this. Now, one of the things that if you leave it implementation, if you were to run this app in production as it is, over time you're going to have a cluttering problem with a bunch of MPG files or MP3 files piling up. So you probably want to create a second flow to go into the folder, and files that are older than a day old, you'll possibly want to clear them out. If you have the desire to keep them, then obviously then go ahead and keep them for whatever reason, and you can use it in any way you want inside of your application. Last and final thing, I'm doing a little bit of trickery with that third action here. I'm simply going out and I'm calling a bunch of concatenation functions. But basically, I'm just saying, hey, my subscription information is, and then the car13 is a way of adding a carriage return. I'm doing 2 hard carriage returns. And then I'm concatenating in, I'm calling, all of this out again from this variable called vSubscription information. Now, if I come to the app on start, I'm running it once the first time on start, and I'm saying set vSubscription info, and then I'm calling ElevenLabs, the custom connector, and I'm calling the get subscription info, which is a get, and then it stores that information in the variable. That's how I'm able to do it here. Additionally, when somebody clicks the button, right, now we've gone ahead and we've run a transcription, so to speak, it's now also updating that variable one more time so that whatever it is that I run to get the audio file, it's going to increase the used and deduct from the remaining, so that you'll kind of always know. And you should probably do that if there is a limit on it, because you'll programmatically likely want to gray this button out or prevent people from clicking it, and or maybe set a hover text, something that gives somebody some kind of information. Hey, you've run out of API credits. Contact your system administrator, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so this is how you integrate ElevenLabs into a Power app. Could be Power Automate. You saw how I did it in Power Automate, although I'm integrating it this way. There's lots of different ways to do it. I could have used Azure Cognitive Services for text-to-speech, and I don't like it because I don't think the voice sounds nearly as good as what you get out of ElevenLabs. So in any event, hope you found this useful. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.